So I know you've seen this truck in the background a few times. I'm going to give you the whole rundown and story of why it even exists and everything. So it's got to be 5 years ago. My friend Jarrod, he works at the hospital up north, and I don't know how I told him, but for a long time I wanted to find one of these with 8-foot bed, 3/4 ton C20, and I wanted to do the 6.0 and put a 480 in it. And like that was my ultimate tow rig before I got into the 99 through 06 trucks and stuff. So man, I was searching and I was like, well, I like these better than the square body, but I was like, well, I'll even get a square body if I can find one that's got the right look, And one day, Jarrod texted me and he just said, hey, this girl I work with, they've inherited a truck and they don't know what to do with it, and they're wanting to get rid of it. They got to get it out of there. So I was like, oh man, it's probably like an 88 model truck or an 85 or something, something that I'm not as interested in. I was like, oh, you can send me pictures of it, but I don't know if I'm interested. They sent me pictures of it. I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I've been looking for. And it was up like on the Oklahoma-Kansas line where it was located. Well, I told my wife, I was like, hey, I want to go look at this truck. And they told me what they want for it, and it was a pretty good deal. And so, man, we shot up there and looked at it. And we had to park like a mile away because me and my wife had a new Dodge Challenger, and I didn't drive it in the rain. I mean, we kept it clean. So we had to park and walk like a mile down this dirt road to get to the truck because I wasn't going to drive my car on the dirt. And man, this thing was full of trash, sitting on flats. But like, I was looking at it, I was like, oh my God, I love this color, man. And then I found out it's a factory 402 Cheyenne truck with a big block, the 400 turbo. Totally unmolested. It has not been messed with. But then I got noticing one thing. I was like, this is kind of weird. And if you'll look, and I never, as much as I thought I knew about these trucks, it always shows that you don't know everything. Look at that bed. So instead of having the standard 8-foot bed, this has the 8.5-foot bed. Well, what the story was on this truck is they ordered it brand new with one of those slide-in campers. So this thing, in the story they told me, they took it to like Montana and Arizona and New Mexico back in the 70s, and they had one of those slide-in campers on it. And so, yeah, they traveled all those years with it. Well, then I guess the camper came out of it, and they just used it as an old farm truck forever, And so I was like, wow. And I don't know, I know they made a low number of these Longhorn extended bed camper special trucks, but I fell in love with it, man. So I got it. Me and Matt and his dad, we went out there and picked it up. And then within a couple hours of having it, I had a gas can hanging underneath the front, and I had it fired up and running. Now, the exhaust was falling off of it. It sounded terrible, but I basically went through, done all the brakes on it, just all the mechanical stuff that needed to be done, I did. And then what I did is, like, it had the Quadrajet on it, which I think is a fantastic carburetor, but I could not get it to stop flooding. And I finally got it to stop flooding, but then it just, I don't know, it just kept going back to flooding out and everything. So I was short on time, and I just went and bought a brand new 600 Edelbrock, put that on there. This thing has been perfect ever since. I haven't turned one screw on the Edelbrock, and it has been perfect, man. This truck, when I was driving it 4 years ago, I was getting like 11.5, 12 miles a gallon, cruising 60, 65. So yeah, man, I've just done a tune-up on it. Still has the points in it. I'm going to put an HEI distributor in it, but I mean, it's still got the old belts that were on it. Like, that's how good this truck is. Now, the guy I sold it to, I think they put a booster on it, and then somebody has took the transmission out. I don't know if it's been rebuilt or not, but I'm going to actually, that's what I'm getting ready to do, because it will not do anything. You drop it, it doesn't do nothing. Put it in gear, nothing. So there's a guy out in Skytook that I talked to. I'm going to take it out to him and have him just completely rebuild it, because like I plan on driving this thing long. I mean, I'm going to use it like its intended purpose. So yeah, I've got to do it right. But yeah, this thing is amazing, man. I love it. You see the custom camper, and it's a Cheyenne truck. So it's got this cool seat cover, and it's got the, upgraded door panels and stuff. Now it's got your typical rockers and stuff, a little bit of rust on the floor, but that's about it, man. All I'm going to do, I'm going to get a new seat cover for it and put a carpet kit, and then I've got the rockers and cab corners for it. I'm going to do that this winter. And I was kind of thinking about taking all the trim off and like stripping it down and then like using a semi-gloss or whatever clear on it. That way it protects it. But one thing, the hardest thing about this whole project is this truck came with 16.5 wheels on it. Well, I know a lot of people put the late model wheels, like what those trucks had on them and everything. I did not want to do that. So I was like, how am I going to find some 8-lug wheels that these caps will fit on? And what's up? What?
Drawer over there.
Yeah, go for it.
But I'm trying to get those before I can put those in that drawer.
Okay, well, let me finish and I'll help you, okay? Anyway, so through some research, I found out that the Ford 8-lug, like, I'm guessing everywhere from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even the early 2000s, I'm pretty sure they had those little nubs in the middle that those caps would fit on. So I was like, man, that'll be easy. I'll find that. It was not easy to find these wheels. Like, I went to like 2 different salvage yards. I got one out from underneath a van. I got one that they were using to set a truck up on. They had to pick the truck up with a tractor. I got that wheel. I found another truck that had one laying in the bed, and then just happened to find the 4th one at another salvage I couldn't believe how hard these were to find. So I got them, I blasted them, cleaned them, and I used that Van Sickle tractor paint because I didn't want them to be real shiny, but I painted them, and then I had to find, I didn't want like a real blocky looking tire. I wanted the factory look, and the way they bubble out and balloon, that is exactly the look I was going for. And I bought those from Pep Boys. So it took me a while to try to get exactly what I wanted. But that was the hardest part, is trying to get the wheel and tire right. But yeah, you don't have as many tire options with the 16.5, but that's a standard 16-inch wheel, and it works. It's been phenomenal. I did put a new exhaust system on it. A friend of mine, Jason, he hooked me up with, and these are Dynatech mufflers, and I had a exhaust shop in Owasso do it. He did a pretty good job. And again, this truck didn't ever have a tailgate on it. Like, I'd found a blue years ago, one side of that stuff to put on it, or I actually got both sides, but I'm missing this one now. I'm remembering. Like I said, this thing's been gone for like 4.5 years. So, but yeah, it's just a pretty good old work truck. It had another gas tank in the bed. You can see the hole because the camper, I guess, had a belly part in it or whatever that would go over that. But I mean, this thing is solid, and I have not touched this truck in we just got back into town last weekend. I haven't touched it. Let's see how good it starts up and runs. May not have any gas in it. So yeah, like I said, I think maybe closer to 3 weeks since I've started it. But yeah, and I don't have the manual choke hooked up or anything. So, but yeah, man, it's and we were moving houses one time, and it was like right at the last minute, man. I got some time off from work. I had to get my buddy, and we had to move all the big stuff. So we had my other truck, and it had a shell camper on it, and we had this one. Well, like the night before, we had 24 hours to finish getting our stuff out before we turned the keys over to the house. And it's like 20 degrees outside. This thing stops charging on my way home. And I was like, oh, man. So, like, I'm sitting outside having a beer. It's like 8:30 at night, and I'm stressing about this move. And I'm like, man, the alternator is not working. So I was like, I had like 15 minutes to call O'Reilly. So I was like, I got on the forums, and I was like, what is the best alternator that I can buy that's like a 1-wire, you know? Well, somebody on one of the Camaro forums was like, yeah, like the 82, 83 Firebird, I guess the beginning of the 3rd gen, had a 1-wire style alternator. So that's what I went down. I mean, I went down there, and luck to have it, O'Reilly's had it. And I put it on there. Bam, we were charging, and then we moved all the big stuff and finished with our move. And this thing, we used it a lot, man. Like basically we did our whole move with this truck. So if anybody tells you can't do much with these old trucks, they are full of it. And then you're probably wondering, why didn't you want a short bed? Well, have you seen how much that stuff costs? Like, it's ridiculous. If I do get a short bed, I want a original one, you know. I don't want a cut down truck. And like, I've had several people ask me, man, you're gonna cut that down? And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it's perfect, man. Like, when you drive this truck, it drives perfect. It's so well. And I've had a half dozen short bed trucks, and like, I go to Lowe's, I'm doing a project, I need a 4x8 sheet of plywood, or I need some, you know, supplies. I can't fit anything in a 6-foot bed. Like, it's got to be up on the tailgate, and I don't like that. I mean, it works, but I just don't like the stress on the, you know, stuff bouncing around. Or you can say, oh, you leave the tailgate down. Well, then you got crap sliding out. Like, I like to be able to put everything in there, shut the tailgate, and it's fine. And it fits. Like, I don't know. I had short bed trucks, and then I got a long bed, and then I was like, unless it's, like I said, I find a nice original Cheyenne short bed, I don't want another one, man. And I love the way short beds look, don't get me wrong. They're awesome. But, like, I have the pickups for a purpose, you know. So, like, I have to use them, you know. So this is the way that I want my trucks, you know. Like, I've got my late model 3/4 ton. Like, I'm just done with the towing and the working with the half tons and the short beds and stuff. Like I said, if I ever come across a good, clean, original short bed truck, absolutely, they're beautiful. But I do too many things that requires a truck to do truck things. So, and this is, like I said, I was just wanting a C20 so bad I couldn't stop in this body style, and it's worked out, I guess. And then now I've got it a second time. So yeah, I'm gonna get this thing jacked up, and we're gonna pull the transmission out tomorrow. Matt's gonna come help me with that, and then I'll get it over to the guy and have him rebuild it, and then it's a matter of just getting a few things and getting on the road. And I'm still trying to find a blue and white original tailgate. That is really hard, man. So stay tuned.